So I was with my fiance, and we were out for dinner. And she asked me, "What are you going to order?" And in this stage of my life, I was extremely strict on my diets. I barely even went out for dinner. I told her, I don't know, I'm probably going to go for the salad. Thinking deep down inside, I don't even want the salad. I don't even just like plain salad. Why do I have to live like this? I don't want to eat foods I don't want to eat. I want to go out with my fiance. I want to go on dates, and I want to enjoy the foods that I'm eating. So for this rough period of time, around 6 months, I told myself I'm just going to go on a strict diet, eat nothing but whole foods, only eat, clean foods per se. And how did this end up for me? Well, I had an entirely horrible relationship with food, and I basically was suffering every single day just because I was eating things I didn't want to eat. And I'm somebody who loves food, and I thought the way to lose fat was to basically get rid of anything that you don't like to eat. If you like to eat it, get rid of it because it's probably bad for you. That's the whole idea that I came up with, and this is how I'm going to lose fat. And this ended up going downhill for me because A, I didn't stick with it very long, and B, most importantly, I didn't like my diet. So if you don't like something, you're not going to stick with it. If it doesn't make you feel good, if it doesn't make you basically want to keep going with it and you see the results, your brain works on this loop. Like, you see results and you're happy with those results, so you keep going. And I didn't see the results, and I was living miserably for six months because I would go for a week. I'd be so disciplined and so strict on myself, and then on the weekend I'd be like, oh, I can't even do this anymore, and then I would just end up binging, and I saw zero results. So this is the cause of basically something called only eating strict diets and removing everything from your life. I understand if you're trying to, be a 100% health junkie and, not enjoy the finer things in life, but I had to figure out a way to be able to enjoy the things I like, pizza, wings, burgers, ice cream, going to the movies, having popcorn, all these different things, because it's part of who I am. I like to enjoy food. I'm a foodie. I'm a connoisseur in the sense that I like to fly. I like to, cook things sometimes that I like to enjoy. So I created a new method, a method basically, I didn't patent it or anything, but just basically a way to eat with a balanced diet. And how I did this was basically plan accordingly, because everybody knows the term, proper planning prevents poor performance. And if you plan ahead, then you're able to actually stick with your goals. So we all know that in order to be in some sort of fat loss, you need to be eating less calories. But the way to eat less calories isn't to give up all your favorite foods. Sure, most of, at least my favorite foods are pretty high in calories, like, fries, burgers, pizza. And then obviously, when you go to lunch to restaurants, most of those meals are 1,000 calorie plus, especially if you drink, if you have dessert, an appetizer, all these things add up. So what ended up actually working for me versus living a completely strict diet, which for 6 months I tried, and I didn't even, maybe I lost like 2 pounds in the first week, and then it just basically backfired on me. I ended up gaining 3 more pounds, and then just stayed stagnant for the rest of the 6 months because I was in and out of it. I had this like horrible relationship with food. I was eating the food and then not eating the food, and then I was eating clean and then not eating clean, and it's just, I'm here to tell you, if you ever try doing some sort of strict diet where you don't do the things you like to do, then you will never stick with it. And I'm not talking to bodybuilders here, because that is a whole nother discipline. If you are staying strict with your diet for a preparation, a show, or some sort of specific goal that you have in mind, then yes, that's a totally different thing. But you can even ask if you know any people that have done dieting or prep shows or whatnot. They feel like shit. They feel like garbage. They have no energy. They don't do anything besides go work out to preserve their muscles, sleep probably most of the day, and then do some form of cardio. But then the rest of the time they're either sleeping, sitting on the couch, because they don't have energy to do that. And your average human like me and you, we have jobs. We have people that we have to look after. We have responsibilities. You want to be able to go out and socialize. You want to actually talk to people. You have a girlfriend, maybe a wife that you want to take out on dates. And you're not living this like strict disciplined life where you wake up, you work out, and then you sleep, which most people don't have the luxury of doing. And then you wake up again, you do some sort of form of cardio, and then you sit on the couch either scrolling or watching TV until you go back to sleep again. Like, yeah, sure, if you want to get to 6, 4, 3% body fat, sure, do that. But for your average person like me and you, that's not reasonable. So what you have to do is something I like to call a sustainable lifestyle. You have to make choices, and what started to work for me was I started to make choices depending on my week. I would plan my weeks out, and I would prepare for, okay, Saturday I want to go out with my girl to a dinner, get some food. So I already knew that that's going to be like around like a 1,500 calorie meal and a lot higher on the calories. But I still want to lose fat. So I'm not going to wreck my entire week of discipline just by, eating 1,500 calories on the dinner out, and then throughout the rest of the day, because you're not just going to starve yourself until that meal, because that's not sustainable either. So this is how to go about this. I'm going to give you a scenario like it was for me. Monday to, let's say, Friday you work, right? And then Saturday I had plans to go out for dinner. My old self would just get, salad for dinner because I'm on this strict diet. It's bullshit. It's not going to work. Because then I saw my girlfriend eating ice cream. I saw my girlfriend ordering all these things, and I'm like, I want that, I want that, I want that. And then you just build this like hatred towards this diet, and you're like, F this, I'm not even going to make a commitment to this because this is impossible. And that's why so many people gave up, and that's why I gave up. So what I do now differently is throughout the days where I can stay disciplined and stick to my diet, stick to my routine and regimen, I do. But obviously, I'm human, I like to indulge in things, and I like to socialize, and especially, enjoy meals at different places, like, try out different pizza restaurants, try out different burger joints and whatnot. So, knowing that I would prepare to, go out for dinner and whatnot, I would set aside, okay, I'm going to roughly eat like 1,500 calories on this date going out, and I still need to stay in that 2,300 calorie deficit to be able to still lose fat at this rate without going over and, ruining my results. So what I would do is I would have a light breakfast, strictly protein. A, not to spike my insulin, but B, so I wouldn't, crash at lunchtime and then start binge eating again. Because you start binge eating and get hungry again because you spike your insulin through, some sort of form of processed carbs or garbage food, and then you get hungry again at lunch. And that's why you're like, dude, I'm eating so much food, but I'm always hungry. Yeah, it's just because you're constantly spiking and crashing your blood sugar, and it's causing you to feel this hungry, and you're not eating full satiating foods. So in times like this, I would pick specific foods a little bit differently from my diet, or keep the diet the same but just remove the carbohydrates from the diet and the high fats from the diet and just stick to protein. So let's say normally for breakfast on my regular days, I would have 4, 5, 6 eggs, toast, avocado, some butter, and then some more protein. Usually I like to add like a little bit more ground beef, lean chicken or whatnot. On days like this, you make smart choices. I would basically just eat the eggs. Fill myself up with just protein. And then on the lunch, I would also have like a smaller lunch, 300 calories for breakfast, another 300 to 500 calories for lunch. One piece of chicken breast, maybe some salad, maybe some other things depending on how I'm feeling that day. And then I'd be able to, socialize and enjoy the things that I wanted to on my date. So that's one of the most important things, is you still want to be able to socialize, you still want to be able to go out, you still want to be able to enjoy foods, at least I did, when I wanted to lose my fat. And then the next thing, a very important aspect of fat loss is building something that you can stick to for the rest of your life. Obviously, you're not going to lose fat for the rest of your life, but you want to reach a point, especially if you're higher up there, when you need to lose, 40 to 60 pounds. You want to do it in a way where you can do it for a long period of time rather than just quickly crash dieting, losing 40 to 60 pounds in 2 months and then gaining it all back just because you're starving, you've crashed all your hormones, you've devoured and destroyed your metabolism. You didn't lose, or what I like to tell people and what I told myself to switch this mindset of thinking, you didn't gain all this fat in 2 months, so don't expect to lose it in 2 months. But it can take you weeks to lose fat rather than like it took you years to gain all this fat. So plan and prepare for long-term fat loss, because it's much more sustainable than trying to crash diet everything and squeeze, I need to lose 60 pounds in 2 months. It's possible, but it's unsustainable. You want to develop habits in those months that you're learning how to lose fat, because it's a skill that will serve you for the rest of your life. And most of the habits just come from saying no to things, but not completely eliminating them. And yeah, the point of this video that I'm trying to make is strict diets don't work long term. They might work for a week or two if you want to, cut some weight, cut some water for a special event or whatnot. But as a lifestyle change, it's never going to work, because remember, fat loss is a lifestyle change that you want to make in order to be able to do it for the rest of your life rather than a quick fix. It's not a quick fix, it's a complete different lifestyle change and habit change. So if I could leave you with one piece of advice, it would be plan for long term. It might suck because you might not, you're going to stop Googling how to get abs in 5 to 10 minutes. But at least you know that you're not going to be the same person in a year, but rather you're going to be a different person in a year. And you want to plan for those, monthly and yearly goals rather than weekly goals, because you're not going to see changes in weeks. You're going to see changes in months and years. So if you found this video valuable, please subscribe. I love you guys, and I leave you like I always do. create more than you consume, serve others, love everyone, follow for more. Peace.